Hello everyone, and thank you very much first of all for joining me in this tutorial. So here we are going to talk about this application which has been built through React, and it is connected with the AWS DynamoDB, right? So there is a table that we have created in which we can insert the data through this form that you're seeing over here. And in real time, we can pull the information from this DynamoDB table and bring it for the user to see here on this particular form, right? So as you can see, the form, the application is live right now. And how I've done it, so it's with the help of S3 and CloudFront, with the help of which I was able to make this application live. Okay, so how this application has been built, how I've connected DynamoDB with this application, and how I made it live online. All that will be covered in this video. So stay tuned with me and let's dive into the tutorial and check out the functionality of this application first. And then I'm going to show you all the steps. I'm going to discuss everything, and I'm going to do everything practically in front of you so that you can also understand how these kind of applications can be created, which you can integrate with AWS, and then you can store the data there in the AWS services and bring the data in real time to the user on the front end. Okay, so first of all, let's check out the functionality of this application. So here I have to enter a name, and let's say the name is Mitakshi, and I'm going to enter a message. Hi, I was present in the class yesterday. Fine, let's submit it. So when you submit, the submit button changes to submitting. So this is something which is happening with React. Then we have this alert box on the top which has come to tell the user that yes, the data has been submitted successfully. And now if I click this OK button, I will be able to see the data which Mitakshi has submitted. Okay, so this is happening in real time right now. And if I come on my DynamoDB table, so right now there are two entries. We cannot see Mitakshi's entry right now. So for checking it out, what we have to do is we have to simply come on actions. I think I'll have to give it a refresh maybe. Let me do that. So I've given the table a refresh, and I can see the new entry over here. Let's come inside it. So as you can see, this is a message which I just wrote on behalf of Mitakshi, and I can see it in the table. So that's the whole functionality of the application. Now how this application has been built, that is what I'm going to show you live in this video. So what you have to do basically is you have to create a folder first. Okay, and I'm going to name it as testing. Fine, and I'm going to come inside it cmd and then open this folder in VS Code. So this is the first step that you have to do. Then there is these steps that we are going to follow for creating the application and also for making it live, right? So I'm going to simply enlarge it, view terminal, and here I'm going to come on this very first thing, which is AWS Management Console DynamoDB service. So here we will create a table first, which we'll be using for storing and retrieving the data from there. And I have to simply come on search and write DynamoDB. Then here you have to create a table, right? So you have to come on tables, come on create table, and here you can create a table. So I'm going to come and let's have this name over here, and let me add testing also with it. Partition key, so I would like to have ID as a partition key, a primary key you can say, and then rest everything we can leave as default. Create table, and let's see what's going to happen next. So within some time, a new table for us will get created. So this is a table, right? This is a new table which has got created. Now it's time for us to configure the AWS credentials. Fine, so we have to get the access keys so that we can log it into the AWS console through our VS Code. Okay, now how that thing will happen? So you'll have to come on IAM. Okay, just come on IAM and create a new user. Fine. So come on users, and here you have to come on create user. Here you have to type a username. So I'm going to do testing user as of now. Next, and then you can attach policies to your user. So I'm going to go with administrator access so that I can access everything through VS Code. Okay, come on next, and then you have to click on create user. Your user has got created. Now once you are done with creating the user, how you'll create the access key? So you'll have to click on that user, you'll have to click on create access key, and then you can use command line interface option, because we are going to use everything from this terminal, right? That is the reason command line interface has to be chosen. And then come down, I understand, come on next, and then simply create the access keys. So these are the access keys which you have to note down somewhere. So this is the access key. Okay, and when it comes to secret access key, so this is the one that you have to simply copy and put it like this over here. Fine, so we are done with creating the user, we are done with creating the access keys also. What is the next step? Let's come on the Word file and check it out. Set up a new React application. So with the help of this command, we can simply set up a new application in the testing folder that we have created. Okay, so we are done with creating the application. Now it's time for us to get into the directory in which the application code is present. So it is Viral Dynamo app, right, for both of us. Now come on npm install AWS SDK UUID. So basically these are the libraries which you require for making your code interact with the DynamoDB tables. Library has got installed. Let's come back on the Word file and check out the next step. So the next one is we have to create a file named AWS config.js, where we'll have to install, we'll have to put the AWS configuration. Right, now what we have to put exactly over here, that's what we have in the same Word file. So you have to simply copy this whole thing and put it like this over here. So basically what we are doing, whatever we have done, whatever we have created in the beginning, right, the AWS access key and secret key, that's what will come over here, but we are importing it from the env named file, which is not in place right now. So we have to create it, but before creating it, we have to make a change, a small change over here, which is the region change. So what is the region for me in which I'm working? It is EU North 1. You can see it in the URL part over here also. And we have to come again over here, change the region to this. Let's just close this config file, and here we have to now create an environment variable file. So here we can simply write env like this. And then we have to come on this Word file and copy and paste these two lines of code over here. Right, it's time for us to put the access keys that we created for our IAM user some while ago, like this. We can do it, so don't put it inside double inverted commas, just put it like the way I'm doing. Save the changes and close the environment variable file. It's time for us to come to the next step, which says we have to create a services named folder. So now we are going to create the front end. Okay, so services named folder we have to create, inside which we have to keep this file named dynamo service.js. Okay, now what all things will come in this DynamoDB service, that's what I'm going to tell you, but let me just copy and paste the code from here in this file. So there are two things that we'll be doing. One is the insertion of data, and the other one is the fetching the data from DynamoDB and showing it to a user in real time. So these are the two functions which we have defined. One is with name insert data, which is going to insert the data for us in the table named viral app data testing. Okay, so let me just copy the name and put it over here like this. Same thing I'm going to do here also. So this function will help us in pulling the data from this table named viral app data testing. Okay, and this is the library that we have imported, and we are going to use this library for interacting with the DynamoDB table Once the insertion is complete, data inserted successfully, message will come from the front end and it will be shown to the user in the form of an alert box on the front end form. Now how that form is coming, how that alert message is coming, that is something which we are going to cover now. But before that, let me just explain you this code a little bit more. So here, as you can see, we are importing, we are checking this ID thing that we created, right? Then there is this data that we are taking into consideration. So this will generate a unique ID for each and every data which will be sent by the front end to DynamoDB. Okay, once the data gets inserted, it will give us this message, data inserted successfully. In case of any errors, this is the thing which will get executed. Okay, same thing will happen with the fetch data also. So we have created this mechanism over here for pulling the data. So if we are able to pull the data, we'll show this to the user, otherwise an error message will pop up. Okay, so that's what this whole code is doing for us. Coming back to the Word file, it's time for us to create another component with name dataform.js, but we're going to put it inside the components named folder. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come on this application. So this is the code that you will be getting from the GitHub link, which will be shared with you guys in the description section of this video. So from there, what you can do, you can simply come on this services named folder, and okay, here we have something missing. Okay, this is not the one. I think this is the one that you will get. Yeah, in the components named folder, you'll find dataform.css and dataform.js. So simply come and rename this file, copy the name from here and create a new file. Here you have to copy this entire code of dataform.css, paste it over here. Same thing you have to do for dataform.js also. Simply create this file inside the components named folder, and whatever code you see in this dataform.js, just copy and paste it over here. So now we are going to discuss the dataform.js code first, and after that I'm going to show you the application's front end on the browser. Okay, so here we are checking, we are importing React use state and use effect hooks from React. Then we are importing insert data and fetch data named function we have created in this Dynamo service named file. We are importing this dataform.css, right, things over here in this dataform.js, which we are going to use for making the form visually appealing. There are 4 different types of state variables that we have defined over here. The first one is this name and set name. So basically the name that you will put here in this form, this will get stored in this named variable. Message will come over here. This data list that you're seeing is going to come over here, and the submit button, when you submit something, automatically it changes to is submitting. So that is something which is happening over here. So this is going to take care of our loader state. Okay, then comes the handle submission part. So this function will get executed when the user will click the submit button. Okay, so what will happen? It will call the insert data function. It will pass name and message to this insert data, and then once the data gets submitted successfully, this message will come in the alert box. Now once the message comes, you click the OK button in the alert box. The fetch and set data will be called at the same time. So basically it's this asynchronous functioning that we have coded in place, and then this fetch data thing, right, the function fetch data, which is this, will be executed, and whatever data we have in the table, DynamoDB table, it will be pulled and set up in this data list that we have created on the front end. Okay, so all these things will be happening with these functions that we have created on the top. Then we have this form thing which will be returned finally by the front end to the user, where he can see everything live. Okay, so there is a form in which we have a text area, we have an input box where the user can type his name, we have a button, right, with which we can do the submission thing. Fine, so that's the whole code that we have written for the front end of the application. It's time for us to run the application. So what you have to do for basically for setting it up is just download the code from the GitHub link which I've shared in the description section, and then try to set it up on your own. Okay, because till the time you set it up on your own, you'll not be able to know the in and outs of this application. Fine, try to go through each and every line of code. In case anything is not clear to you, let me know in the comment section below. So right now this application is not coming for us. It is showing us the main page of React, right? The default page of React. Why? Because I've not rendered the data form component in this app.js file. So that's the part which is still missing. So let's come on this app.js file code and simply paste it over here. Now if I come on this, it is giving me an error which says components data form is missing. Why it is giving us this error? That is something we'll have to check. Just a second. So okay, so the components folder that I've created, it is inside services, which is not correct. I have to keep it inside source. Fine. So this is, I think now fine, the structure is fine now, and we'll be able to see the application. Okay, so it's running right now. Let me simply create a data quickly for this table. So right now if I explore the items of this table, you can see there are no items present inside this table. Let's come on this form and simply create an item. So I'm going to put my name on the top. It is just for testing purpose, and here I'm going to submit it. Data submitted successfully. Okay, so I can see the data also which is submitted. Coming back on this table, let me give it a refresh and check out whether we have any items over here or not. Yes, we do have an item. So this is the one which I just created, right? Coming back to the application, so our application is running perfectly fine. It's time for us to make it live for our internet users. So we are going to come down, and there are some simple steps that we have to follow for making the application live. So what is that? We have to install this AWS Amplify CLI first. So for me it is already installed. Okay, but still I would like to run this command for you guys so that you can also get to know about it. So once this command line interface thing is done, you're done with installing it on your device, the other step that you have to follow is amplify init and these two things. So these are the three more commands that you have to fire for making your application live on the internet. So let's come on this command, simply copy it and come back on this CLI interface, waiting for it to complete. Okay, so we are done with installing the package. It's time for us to amplify init, and here you have to simply do yes. Okay, and prefer not to answer. Project name is going to be Gaurav, and yes. Okay, then you have to choose this AWS access keys. Okay, because that's what we have. You remember these access keys that we created in the beginning. So that's what you have to enter here. So basically what we are doing, we are logging into our AWS console with the help of these access keys we have created for one of the IAM users, which has the administrator access. Here we have to choose a region. So for me it is EU North 1. Okay, so now it will add the backend environment to AWS Amplify application, which is this, which it has created automatically on the AWS cloud. Okay, and now it is deploying the resources into the development environment. So what is happening, basically whatever we have created, it is now going to the AWS cloud environment, and then we will be making use of S3 and CloudFront for making this application live. Now by the time it is happening, let me just put this video on. Okay, it's done, I think. Fine, so uploading is done, deployment is done. What is the next step that we have to do? We have to add the hosting related things. So this is the command with the help of which you can do it very easily. What are you going to use for making it live. So I'm going to use Amazon CloudFront in S3, click enter. This is a bucket name which has got created, which will get created automatically. So this is a random bucket name which it has created for us. If you want, you can, you know, create your own bucket name. That I leave upon you. So now we have to do Amplify publish, simply for publishing the application. Now what this command will do for us, it will fetch the updates to the backend, AWS backend. So this is the infrastructure it has created, and it is now making our application live on this infrastructure so that it can be made accessible on the internet. Okay, so what will happen at the end is it will create a link for us on which we'll be able to access the application. So by the time this whole process is happening, let me put the video on pause. Okay, so the process is successfully completed, and as you can see, it says that your app is published successfully. It's time for us to open this application on the browser and check it out, how it looks like. And we're going to check out the functionality also, whether it is working fine or not. So we can see the form over here, and we can see the data also, you know, that we submitted some while back to our local application. Now here I'm going to simply create another record. So Mitakshi, I am going to the market today, and here we can simply submit the data. This data submitted successfully. Okay, and yes, Mitakshi's name and data is also now visible to me over here. If I come on this DynamoDB table and come on this explore items thing, I should be able to see at least, you know, two items. One which I created through the local application, right, when the application was running on my local, and the other which I just created. So this is not this one. This is the one which I just created, right? Okay, so yes, the application is live right now, and as you can see, it is completely secure because of the CloudFront certificate that we have installed. Fine. So this is how you can create a dynamic application, and this is how you can connect it with the DynamoDB. All right, this is how you can use the DynamoDB service of AWS, and this is how you can make the application live for your users to use. That's it from my side in this lecture. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye bye, take care, and have a great day, guys.